This is garlic which I planted 6 months ago. As you can see, it's kind of reached the end of its life now and it's about ready to harvest. It's covered in rust, which I'm not bothered about at this point. It's probably no longer able to photosynthesize much, as most of the green has gone now and it's just covered with this rusty stuff. But at this point it doesn't matter because it's already been in the ground for 6 months. It's had long enough to grow, so the bulb should be a reasonable size. Here we are 6 months ago, just after the shortest day of the year, and I'm planting out the garlic. Garlic's one of the few vegetables that you can plant really late in the season. I'm actually planting this on the shortest day of the year, which is what people do here in New Zealand, but if I was planting this out in England, I'd be doing it in probably about October, November, something like that. If you do get frosts, you definitely want to get it into the ground before the frosts hit. In terms of spacing, I'm doing these all at about sort of that, which is, I don't know, 6 inches, 15 centimetres, that kind of thing. But don't go down too far. Probably just, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches into the soil. I don't need to be too deep. I'm planting these with the flat bit of the clove facing downwards and the pointy bit facing up. I love growing garlic, partly because it's just so easy. You just kind of put it in the ground, 6 months later, it's ready. You know, I did nothing to this. I didn't even bother watering it, just the rainwater kept it going. And 6 months later, you've got garlic. You also get a lot of garlic in a fairly small space. So this plot here measures 120 wide, so 4 foot. So it's 4 foot wide. Roughly, you've got about 4 foot of length here. So within that small square, there's probably about 25 garlics here. So for me and my wife, I don't think we need more than this. This is a year's worth of garlic. So there you go. We're self-sufficient in at least one vegetable, which is a good feeling. In terms of planting dates, I planted this out on the shortest day of the year for a harvest on the longest day of the year. I was a little bit late on it, but roughly that's the kind of length. And you need to vary that a little bit with your climate. When I was in England, I would plant these out more likely in October. You'd have to have it in before the frosts in order for the plant to get at least some growth before it gets a bit cold. I mean, it survives the winter, but you don't want to be planting it out in frosty ground. With this, I reckon, although people here do say plant on the shortest day of the year, I reckon it would have been better to go a little bit earlier. The reason I'm saying that is this rust is caused by humidity, and at the moment it's very hot, very humid. So I figure, you know, if I'd have gone a month earlier, this would have been green for longer, giving me a bit more growth. So it's definitely worth experimenting with your climate and just planting it out and seeing what you can get away with. In terms of knowing when the garlic's ready, much like onions and things like that, these tops do start to look a bit disheveled after a while. But with garlic, you can actually reach down, because they're only like this far beneath the soil. So you can actually reach down just here. I can sort of just reveal a little bit of the bulb. And if you run your finger around it, you can even feel the sort of little ridges of each clove. So you know that the garlic has actually started to develop. I mean, these are looking okay. They're not huge, but that's because I think they've had, the last month, have had quite a bit of rust on them. Just going to pull this one up and see what we've got. God, that's really rooted, isn't there? There we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's not huge, but it's not bad either. One of the things you can do with garlic to extend the growing season a little further is that at some point towards the end of their life, they start throwing out these little seed pods. They come out like these little shoots here. Here's one. And then, you know, you just pull them off. And by doing that, instead of them kind of trying to reproduce and creating seeds in a seed pod, that additional energy should just go into the garlic in the ground. Oh, and these bits that you take off, you can eat, and funnily enough, they taste like garlic. So we've been cooking with these. 6 months ago, when I put in the garlic over there, I also thought I'd try out some elephant garlic as well. This is elephant garlic. I've never grown it before. If you've grown it or eaten it, let me know. I don't know much about it. I have heard that it handles rust better than normal garlic. But is this just one, it's one bulb? What's this got, like 4 cloves on it? Yeah, one whole bulb, 4 cloves. I guess they'd be good for roasting. No idea. Let's have a look. I'll give these a bit more room, I guess. They can grow really big, these things, so space them out a bit more. All right, so 6 months later, let's see how we've done. I'm actually not too convinced this is going to be good. The reason being that you can see the, I'll show you. Actually, I'll just pull this out. But the problem with this has been that, there we go. Yeah, that's pretty pathetic. Nothing very elephant-like about that. These tops died probably a month ago, and it's been sitting here, not looking that healthy. Yeah, that looks like the size of a normal garlic, and these are meant to be more like sort of tennis ball size. I'm not sure what went wrong there. I don't know. I mean, it could be that it takes longer than 6 months to grow. So I think if I were to grow it again, I would put it in maybe a month or 2 earlier and see if that makes a difference. There you go. This is that elephant garlic. You can see it's not really started to form. You can't really feel the cloves. It's even got these little ridges in. Looks sort of under mature, and obviously it's not growing. Let me know if you've grown this, whether you've had success with it or not, but it's not doing very well. Interestingly, these aren't actually garlic, really. They're actually part of the leek family, so it's sort of, I think in terms of, I've never actually eaten one, but I think in terms of taste as well, it's slightly more leaky, but there you go, bit of a failure that. One of the great things about garlic is they store really well. Not if you do that to them. I pulled that one out and lost the top, so that won't store. I'll just have to beat that now. But for all the others, they store really well. I think softneck garlic stores for a year. I think this being hardneck's not quite as long. I think it's more like, it depends on the variety, but I think 6 to 8 months, something like that. So to restore it, I just get rid of these roots, get rid of that. And then I'm going to cut all this off, mainly because rust is, I don't know if it would get into this, but I don't really want all that sort of rust, so I'm getting rid of it. And then I'm just going to remove a layer of this stuff as well. There we go, that's it. It should just dry out quite nicely. I'm not going to leave them in the sun because I think it's potentially a little hot, so I'm just going to put it in the shade outside, and yeah, and that should store quite well. So I've done the first few, and yeah, these are looking good. I'm happy with these. I think next year I'll grow softneck, mainly because softneck stores longer. So hardneck are apparently hardier and will tolerate a kind of colder winter, but I don't need that. So I'm going to go with softneck. I actually bought these from a farmer's market. So, you know, when you just buy it as a bulb, you don't really know what you're buying. So that's what I'll do next year, I think, is look out and get softneck. The other thing I'd say is, I don't know what was going on with that elephant garlic. I suspect it just didn't have long enough in the ground. So I think next year I'll give it another go and plant it a bit earlier. But if you've got any tips on that, if you've grown elephant garlic before, let me know. I think with these as well, I'm going to bring them maybe a month forward. So maybe a month before the shortest day, something like that, and see if I can get away with the rust issue. And I would also think about separating them. So I had them all in one clump. I think next year I'm going to plant twice as many, and I'll separate them in 2 different clumps, and then that way, if one lot gets rust, maybe it won't spread as far as the other one. But anyway, I mean, I'm happy enough with the size of these. Hardnecks are slightly smaller than softnecks anyway, so it could just be the variety. So maybe that's a normal size, but either way, the rust issue may be better with we're just separating it out, and I'll give that a go. Anyway, that's enough about garlic. Hope you've learned something from it, or at least enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you next week.